For centuries, one empire marched across the known world like storm. Their armies crushed kings, their laws reshaped nations, and their ambition seemed limitless. From the deserts of Arabia to the forests of Gaul to the very shores of Britain, Rome conquered all who stood in its way. They called their legions invincible, their empire eternal. To resist Rome was to invite certain destruction. And yet, far to the south, beyond the Nile, lay a kingdom that did not bow. It was not Greece. It was not Egypt. It was not Persia. This was a kingdom born in the heart of Africa, the Kingdom of Kush. And when Rome stretched out its hand to claim it, Kush struck back with a fury Rome would never forget. This is not the story of Rome's triumph. This is the story of Rome's reckoning. To understand this war, we must first step into the land of Kush. South of Egypt, along the Nile, stretched a kingdom older than memory. Its roots reached back to the age of the pharaohs, sometimes rivals to Egypt, sometimes its rulers. But by the 1st century before Christ, Kush had forged its own identity, strong and proud. The capital, Meroe, was no simple city. It thrived with markets overflowing in gold, ivory, incense, and slaves. Its streets echoed with chants of priests and the pounding of blacksmiths' hammers. The Kushites were masters of iron, crafting weapons and tools in such abundance that even distant kingdoms whispered of their furnaces. But wealth alone did not define Kush. Its people carried themselves with a pride rooted in tradition, a strength born from the desert, and a fierce loyalty to their Kandakes, warrior queens who ruled with both cunning and courage. Among them, one would rise to stand against Rome itself, Amanirenas. But Kush was not isolated. The kingdom sat on the crossroads of Africa and the Mediterranean world. To its north lay Egypt, newly conquered by Rome. To its east, the Red Sea and its ports. Whoever controlled Kush controlled trade, ivory, gold, and the lifeblood of empires. Rome knew this, and Rome always wanted more. The year is 30 BCE. Cleopatra, the last queen of Egypt, has fallen. Her lover, Mark Antony, defeated. And Egypt, once a mighty empire of pharaohs, is reduced to just another Roman province. Rome celebrates its victory. The Nile is now theirs, from the delta to the southern deserts. But to the Romans, maps were never finished. Beyond Egypt lay Kush, a land they viewed as rich, mysterious, and ripe for conquest. To Rome, the Kushites were barbarians. To Kush, the Romans were arrogant invaders. And between these two worlds, tension was inevitable. Around 25 BCE, the Romans make their first move south. They expect submission, as every other kingdom had given them. Instead, Kush responds with fire and fury. Led by their queen, Amanirenas, Kushite armies surge into Roman Egypt. They strike towns along the Nile, burning, plundering, and leaving Roman garrisons in ruins. For the first time, the empire's soldiers find themselves fleeing before African warriors. But the boldest act is yet to come. In one of their raids, the Kushites capture a bronze statue of Augustus himself, Rome's emperor. To mock him, they cut off its head, carry it back to Meroe, and bury it beneath the steps of a temple, so that every Kushite entering in would trample the face of Rome's most powerful man. For Rome, this was an insult that could not go unanswered. In Alexandria, Gaius Petronius, the Roman governor of Egypt, hears of the attack. Furious, he gathers his legions. These are not farmers with spears. These are hardened soldiers, drilled to perfection, armed with steel and discipline. 20,000 strong, the legions march south. They strike Kush with overwhelming force. Town after town falls. Napata, one of Kush's great cities, is burned to the ground. Roman discipline crushes Kushite courage. But even as Rome advances, resistance stiffens. The Kushites do not fight like Greeks or Persians. They melt into the desert, strike from the shadows, harass Roman columns, then vanish again. For every city Rome destroys, Kushite warriors strike their supply lines. For every Roman advance, Kushite arrows rain from the dunes. At the heart of this struggle stands Queen Amanirenas. Legends say she was blinded in one eye during battle, earning the name the One-Eyed Queen. But she fought on a warrior, a mother, a leader who refused to bow to Rome. To her people, she was not merely a ruler. She was the very soul of Kush. When others counseled surrender, she swore that no foreign emperor would chain her kingdom. Her defiance inspired men and women alike to take up arms. Rome had never faced a queen like this. Years drag on. Rome crushes cities, but cannot break the Kushite spirit. Amanirenas loses her husband in battle, but she fights on. Petronius pushes deeper into Kushite lands, but every mile south drains Rome's strength. The desert itself becomes Kush's greatest ally. Heat, thirst, and endless ambushes grinding down the invaders. Finally, the war reaches a standstill. Rome holds parts of northern Kush, but dares not advance further. Kush refuses to surrender. Both sides, exhausted, seek another path. Around 20 BCE, envoys meet in silence on the banks of the Nile. Not in Rome's palace, but here in Africa. Amanirenas herself is said to have negotiated with Augustus's men. The terms shocked the world. Kush would remain free. Rome would withdraw. And most astonishing of all, Augustus returned the captured lands to Kush. In an age when Rome crushed entire nations, only Kush stood tall enough to negotiate peace as an equal. The war between Kush and Rome faded from Roman chronicles, for Rome did not like to remember its failures. But in the sands of Africa, the story lived on. Amanirenas became a legend. The head of Augustus still rests where her people buried it, a silent reminder of defiance. Kush endured for centuries after Rome retreated, its pyramids still standing today, silent against the desert wind. And so the war of Kush and Rome became more than history. It became a symbol that even the mightiest empire on earth could be challenged. That Africa was never voiceless, never powerless, never passive. Rome called itself eternal, but it is gone. The kingdom of Kush still whispers through the sands. And the story of Amanirenas, the one-eyed queen who defied an empire, endures forever. This was Kush versus Rome, the war the empire wished you would forget.